What's going on? Welcome back, family, to the channel. Welcome back to another Business Funding Made Easy weekly live stream. I am your host, Audrey Truesdale, with the CBCA Network, owner and founder. On this channel, we help entrepreneurs and business owners get access to business and personal funding using our simple 5-step process. So, welcome back. We appreciate each and every one of you guys who subscribe to the channel, who come to the weekly live streams, who support the channel in any way possible. So thank you for all the support. It is not overlooked. It's greatly appreciated. So welcome back, family. If you're new to the channel, make sure you type in the chat where you're located, what city, what state, as you come into the chat. Tonight, we're going to be talking about some personal credit tips to help you get more funding for your business. So we're going to be talking about some personal credit tips, some things to pay attention to as we go into what could be seen as a credit crunch. I'm not too sure that things are stating otherwise, but I am hearing some rumors that, potentially we're going into a recession, credit crunch, the whole 9 yards. So today we're going to get into some things that you can do to help avoid that. Sorry about that. Close that door. But welcome, guys. Hopefully this week has been prosperous. Hopefully you guys have been making strides and getting funding in your business. Hopefully you're making strides to grow your business, get more revenue, get more customers, and all of the above. So as you guys come in, again, like I said, tap in and let me know what city, what state that you guys are coming in from. I appreciate you. Also, if you have not yet, we still have spots available for this Saturday's one-day Business Funding Made Easy Masterclass. All you have to do in order to register for the masterclass is text the letters EZ to 980-825-4360. Again, it's the letters EZ to 980-825-4360. We're going to switch it up a little bit. This masterclass is not going to be an all-day event like we have had in the previous past. It is not going to be an all-day event, but we will have more time for Q&A. So if you are registered and you have secured your spot for VIP, we will have a VIP session before and after. So we'll have a pre-session, and then after the live stream, we'll actually have an hour of Q&A for those of you who are attending VIP. So welcome, guys. Tonight we're going to be talking about personal credit tips to help you get more funding for your business. We got Dallas, Texas in the building. What's going on, Dallas? What's happening? Charleston is in the house. Charleston, South Carolina. Birmingham is in the building. St. Louis is in the building. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Oh, man, we got Fresno, California. Shout out to Fresno. Charlotte in the house as always, man. Always showing love. Appreciate Charlotte being in the building. Welcome, welcome. So yeah, guys, I appreciate you guys again for being here on this week's live stream. I wanted to kind of touch on this week's video. We dropped a video on the channel. Let's see. Okay. Looks like someone said text ain't working. What other options? You can shoot me an email, Butch. We'll get you taken care of. We got Decatur, Georgia in the building. What's going on, Decatur? So what are you guys? I'm just curious real quick. We're going to get into this topic, but I just want to know your thoughts, man, about Elon using business credit in order to buy Twitter. If you haven't heard the news yet, Elon Musk has officially purchased Twitter for $44 billion. I believe he borrowed $25 billion in funding, and he put up $21 billion of his own money. So that was pretty interesting. I made a video talking about how, even though he's a billionaire, he really used business funding, so to speak, from several different banks in order to purchase Twitter, and why it's important to use funding. I don't want to get too much into that topic because we're touching on another topic tonight, but let me know your thoughts. Let me know your thoughts on Elon Musk using business credit to purchase Twitter. Memphis is in the building. What's going on? All right, so for those of you that are here tonight, man, tonight I wanted to kind of just get into a topic that I'm seeing a lot of people having questions on. I am seeing more and more people kind of struggling with some things that they may encounter on your business funding journey. So remember, 85% of business credit is going to revolve around personal credit. I'll say that again, 80% of business funding is going to revolve around your personal credit. What's going on, Lambo Drew in the building? What's up? Shout out to my guy Lambo Drew. But 80% is going to revolve around business personal credit. Excuse me, personal credit. Your personal credit is going to make up about 80% of it. But what I see a lot of people focus on when it comes to personal credit is they quote credit scores. They often say, hey, I have a 680, I have a 750, I have a 760, a 720, a 650, instead of actually paying close attention to some other things that we'll get into tonight. Because here's what happens, and for those of you who attended any of our previous masterclass, you know that banks don't always look at just what the credit score is. Some banks will actually pull your credit report and go to manual underwriting. So essentially, there's two different types of underwriting, right? You can get automatic underwriting, right? AUS, automatic underwriting approvals, where basically you submit the application and you get a yes or a no right there on the spot, right? Now that is great for the majority of people because you get pretty much a yes or a no, and you're able to continue your rounds of funding. And for those of you who are not familiar with a round of funding, basically what that means is, let's say that you're looking to get $80,000. Typically, most people try to seek out one, maybe two banks. But with a round of funding, you may hit up 5, 6, 7 banks all in, let's say, a week or two time frame, right? So in a 1 to 2 week time period, you may hit up 5 or 6 different banks, pulling from different credit bureaus, and we call that a round of funding. So that's what we kind of when we're talking about a round of funding, that's basically what we're talking about: going to multiple banks and getting multiple hard inquiries hit on personal credit. Within a 1 to 2 week time frame. All right. So Elon definitely bossed up. He definitely bossed up when he bought Twitter. I think it was great for a lot of different reasons. But yeah, I think it'll be great. Now I'm gonna pull up my screen here, but I want to get into tonight's topic, right? So we're gonna talk about three personal credit tips that you can do in order to boost your approvals, okay? Because it's not just enough to say I have a 720, 760, whatever the case may be. Here's some 3 tips, and we'll kind of go through these individually. But I just wanted to bring it up on the screen for those of you who are watching on the live stream. And if you are, make sure you hit a like for the YouTube algorithm, man. It helps our content get out to a wider audience, and we greatly appreciate the support. So definitely make sure you hit a like for the YouTube algorithm. But here are the 3 things that you want to be paying attention to as you start to seek funding for your business, okay? And these 3 things are not in any particular order. It's not like a 1, 2, 3, even though they are numbered on the screen. But these are just 3 tips, 3 things that you definitely want to be aware of prior to opening or starting a round of funding, right? Before you go to 3 or 4 or 5 different banks, here's some things to pay attention to on your personal credit profile. Now, one thing I do want to say about the personal credit profile, a lot of you guys have, you subscribe to other people's channels. You hear things, rumors. In regards to the FICO 10, and more specifically the FICO 10T scoring model that should be released late summer, August, September timeframe. What I personally, and this is just my personal opinion, I personally would not steer away from the things that we're going to talk about today. But what I will say in regards to those of you who are building your personal credit, it is going to be imperative it is going to be imperative that you build a fundable profile. So when you come to the masterclass, you'll understand more in depth what I mean by a fundable profile, personal credit profile. We're not talking about the business credit profile. We're talking about the personal credit profile. It is going to be imperative moving forward with this FICO 10 and FICO 10T that not only do you pay attention to the common data points, the utilization, the payment history, the inquiries, the age, all of that, but in addition to those factors that go into your FICO scores, it is going to be imperative that you focus on tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3 fundable profiles. You want to make sure that you're hitting all the data points there. I know a lot of you guys have saw a lot of videos. You've seen a lot of people posting on the internet about Pennsylvania State Employees Credit Union. Credit unions are great, but you don't want to focus solely on credit unions. You want to have a fundable profile. And so for those of you who come to the one-day masterclass, all you have to do is text EZ, text the letters EZ to 980-825-4360. When you come to the one-day masterclass, you'll understand more in depth what I mean by a fundable profile. But that's not what the topic of tonight's discussion about. Let's get into 3 tips to be aware of as you start to get funding or acquire funding or reach out about funding. All right, so tip number 1, you want to have one name, one first name, last name, middle name, one address, one employer. Now, shout out to my guy, Haitian CEO, Herman. He did a video on his Instagram showing you the backdoor hack or method to remove addresses off of your Experian file. So make sure you check his Instagram out. That's been working great for a lot of people in our online training program on how to actually remove old addresses off of your Experian file. But if you don't have access to that, hack or whatever the case, essentially a simple and easy thing that you can do is you can go to the bureaus, and what you can basically send a letter into the bureau stating, you can basically say, please update my personal credit file as this is my only address, this is my only employer, and this is my only name. Now, why is this important? Why should you only have one name, one address, one employer? Well, what tends to happen is when people send off dispute letters or whatever the case may be, when they're sending the dispute letters, what typically happens is there may be a situation where you have 2 middle names, right? Or let's say someone, you have a negative collection account and it's tied to a last name that is misspelled. Maybe they left off an E at the end or S or whatever the case may be. But when you do this update, when you actually go in and give your real name, your first name, your last name, one employer, one address, now when you go and send off that first dispute letter, your initial investigation letter, you can say, hey, remove this account based on inaccurate information. My name is not spelled that way. My name is spelled this way. Or I don't have an address. This is not the address this is not the address that I live at or ever lived at, right? And what that helps to do is when you have, because the burden of proof is always on the credit bureaus and the creditors, right? The collection companies, if you have negative items, the credit card companies, they have to prove that everything is 100% accurate and 100% verifiable. Say that again. It has to be 100% accurate and 100% verifiable. Okay, family? Hope you guys are catching what I'm putting down. So when you have one name, when you have one address, when you have one employer, when you go to dispute accuracy, you can demand validation of this accuracy. You can say, how did you get my information? This is not correct. And most times, if you do it that way, it's a little bit easier to get through your disputes a lot faster and get things removed from your credit profile. Now, here's the flip side of that. That's the credit repair side. Also, what happens is, let's say you go to PNC Bank or Truist or TD Bank or one of the small business friendly banks, and you apply for funding, but you have 3 different addresses on your personal profile. Now, instead of you getting that automatic approval, what they're going to ask for is verification of your address. So they're going to ask for your driver's license, right? Most likely. They may ask for a bank statement, right? They may even ask for a pay stub. So now you're having to give all this extra documentation that you wouldn't have had to give if you only had one name, one address, one phone number. So remember, when you submit your application, it goes to a database, right? Before it even goes to FICO, what they have a database called the FICO Falcon. That is to prevent fraud. FICO has over 100 different databases that they pull information. Your personal information is housed on that they pull information from. Also, your check systems. Check systems is another thing that trips a lot of people up. Most banks, when you open up a business bank account, if they pull check systems, they will pull it when you open up the business account. So you have to keep these things in mind, right? That's why you want to have one name, one address, one employer, so that everything matches on the actual application and you get more automatic approvals, approvals, right? Because the longer you wait, the longer you have to let a bank underwriter go through and dig through a pile of paperwork. Not only does it delay your approval, it can, raise other questions. How much did you bring in last year? A lot of you guys ran the Pennsylvania State Employees Credit Union play because they were not asking for proof of income. Now you're starting to see that they're asking for proof of income. That typically happens when, people put banks out on YouTube or when you guys are in Facebook groups. And, it's great to share information. I'm never saying that. But, banks, they're hip as well. They understand that, people like myself, Credit Plug, other people put information out into the world, and people tend to gravitate to it and flock to different banks, credit unions that have open membership, right? Open enrollment and not geo-restricted or county restricted. So that's tip number 1, is you want to make sure that you have one name, one address, one employer. Typically, primarily, and this is one thing that we'll get into in depth at the one-day masterclass, I recommend that you put your LLC as the employer on your credit report. I always advocate for that, especially if you're a business owner and you do plan at some point to employ yourself. Now, as far as employment status, when you come to the one-day masterclass, we'll let you know what's the best employment status to use for your application. But that's number 1. Tip number 1: one name, one address, one employer. All right. So tip number 2 is focus on your profile and not your credit score. Focus on your credit profile and not your credit score. And here's what I mean. This is what I'm saying in regards to having a bunch of high limit credit union cards, but you don't have a tier 1 Bank of America, Chase, Citi, or Wells Fargo credit card. Yes, you have a lot of high limit credit cards, but you don't have any personal lines of credit. You never had a personal loan, auto loan, mortgage. The mix and who you're getting funding from on your personal credit is important, guys. If you have a bunch of store cards, JCPenney's, Synchrony banks, Credit Ones, those are tier 4 banks. Those are not the banks that look great on your profile. You want to get those quality tier 1 trade lines, right? The Bank of Americas, the Penn Federals, even Discover. Discover is a great tier 2 bank to have. They give high limits. American Express is great. But just keep in mind that you want to focus on your profile, right? And what I mean by profile is what type of accounts, the right mix of banks, right? The right tier 1, the right tier 2, the right tier 3s. And then also you have enough data for them to even for you to even look fundable, right? 10 primary accounts is the minimum right now. And this is what I'm saying about the FICO 10 scoring model. It is going to become more imperative to focus on your profile and not the score, because they're going to be grading you on 24 months. And for those of you who came to a masterclass, you understand that 24-month look back period is the most important part of the FICO algorithm. The last 24 months is what they grade you on. So even if you had a credit card for 10 years, the most value on that trade line, 80 points, if we're talking about a 100-point spread, 80 points of that 100 is going to come from the last 24 months of data on that account. So 10 primary accounts, no derogatory items. We just talked about how to get derogatory items removed. 3 to 5 years of age. 3 to 5 years of age. This is the part you can't fast forward, guys. So just be mindful of that, okay, guys? Now, also 10 to 15% utilization when you apply for funding. Now, with the 10T, the FICO 10, whatever the case may be, they're looking at trended data. We don't really know if banks will adopt it, right? We see news stories, but most larger banks tend to stick. I would probably predict that most banks who adopted the FICO 9 will stick with the 9 and not move to the 10. And most banks who have 8 will move to 10. Because remember, the credit unions, they're on FICO 542. So the credit unions are still going to be around to help us get funding for our business. Remember, most of the credit unions that we are in most major states, they are community development financial institutions, CDFIs. So that means that they're great for startups. They are great for local businesses. They help the community, meaning that credit is not as big of a factor as other things, right? The type of business you're in, the revenue that you bring in. Most credit unions, outside of like your Navy Federals, your Penn Feds, they work more local. They work more closely with the community. They're more deeply rooted in the community. Okay, guys. So remember, the credit unions are still on FICO 542 from the early 90s. They have not even adopted FICO 8. So will they adopt FICO 10? I doubt it. Maybe. We don't really know. So until we see other data points that prove that credit unions are starting to pull. Now, you do have credit unions like Penn Federal. They do pull FICO 9 Equifax. FICO 9 Equifax. But as a whole, you do have U.S. Bank. U.S. Bank pulls FICO 9 currently, Equifax. Maybe they'll move to 10. Maybe they'll stick to 9. Who knows? But that 10 to 15% utilization, that's really the sweet spot that you want to be at the time of application. That's going to give you the best odds for an automatic approval. All right. And then 3 inquiries or less. 3 inquiries or less, that's really where we want to be at when we're applying for funding. Now, when we're doing these rounds of funding, the Experian 24-hour hack, it still seems to work. You just have to do a little bit more work than you used to. It used to be you could call right in, tell them that the inquiries were not you, and they will remove them. Now it's a little more harder. You have to get the right person on the phone, but it's still doable. The 24-hour inquiry removal hack still works. You just have to be diligent. And you have to, you can't give up. You have to you have to be diligent. You have to stay on top of it. You may have to make 4 or 5 phone calls, but is it worth it to you to get those inquiries removed and continue on your round of funding? I think so. All right, so that's number 2. Focus on your profile and not your credit score. Your credit score will never get you approved for anything. It only determines the rate that you get on an auto loan, mortgage, credit card, etc. All right. Now, number 3, and the last thing, and we'll get into a little bit of Q&A, guys. Number 3 is start a relationship before you ask for money from a bank. Right? The credit unions are great for this. You have to become a member before you can apply for any type of funding. You have to open up a membership. You have to open up an account, right? Some bigger banks, the Truists, the PNCs, U.S. banks of the world, you don't necessarily have to be a customer. But what I've found, and I've seen this personally with myself and with, some of my students and clients, what typically happens is when you have a relationship with the bank existing prior to you asking for a business line of credit, business credit card, they tend to give you 2 to 3 times more funding based on just having that relationship. Now, this is not true at every single bank. It won't work at every single bank. But what more often than not, what I find is that when you have that relationship established, when you have that business checking account, that business savings account, that personal checking, personal saving, when you have a solid relationship across the board with these banks, they tend to be more generous. It's not a guarantee, guys. Remember, we do have to structure our personal credit. We do have to optimize. We just covered that. 10 primary accounts, no derogatory accounts, 3 to 5 years age, 10 to 15% utilization at the time of application, 3 inquiries or less. So once we do that, and then we layer in establishing a business and personal relationship, it's really a layup at that point, guys. It's really a layup because now they have more data than the credit bureau. Remember, the banks see your bank balances. They know your average daily, weekly, and monthly deposits and account balances. Okay, so they can see more than the credit bureaus. The credit bureaus can only see what's reported by the lenders, right? So just keep that in mind, family. Like I said, we're going into a season where it could get rocky, it could get shaky. So just be prepared. Make sure you guys are executing on this information. I know a lot of this is free game. You guys come to my YouTube channel and we give a lot of free game on the channel, on Instagram, TikToks, etc. But you guys got to really take heed to this information because there could be a potential credit crunch. And for those of you that work with us and our team, we're getting you prepared for that right now. Okay, we're preparing for battle right now. We're preparing for the credit crunch. We're establishing relationships with the right banks in the right sequence. We know what bureaus they pull. We're getting ready for preparation for this quote unquote credit crunch now. So you want to start doing these things ahead of now. So again, for those of you who have attended any of our previous master classes, you are invited back as VIP. If you have not yet attended a master class, if you text the letters EZ to 980-825-4360, you can register for the free masterclass. You'll be added to the Facebook group. We'll send an email out inviting you guys into the Facebook group tomorrow. If you would like to get access to the VIP option, it's $147 for VIP. I recommend VIP because we can talk through a lot of you guys' issues, right? We can see where you are, help you, along the way, strategize, right? We don't do hourly consultations anymore, right? So that would be the perfect ideal time to get your questions answered so you can get in position. It's all about getting in position, guys. Whether you want to get into Airbnb, whether you want to start, Turo, real estate, trucking, whatever industry you're trying to get into or whatever industry you're currently in and you're looking for more funding, we can help you, kind of think through some things and strategize along the way. So again, if you text the letters EZ to 980-825-4360, you'll get a link to register for the free masterclass, or you can register for VIP. It is this Saturday. It's not going to be an all-day event. So for those of you who have came in the past, it has been an all-day event. This time around, we're probably going to hang out on a live stream for about 3, maybe 3.5 hours. And then we'll have VIP for 2 extra hours. So the VIPs, you'll pretty much be there all day. But for those of you that are attending via the Facebook group for the free session, it'll just be about a 2 to 3 hour masterclass, but you will have access to the recording inside of the Facebook group. All right, guys. So what questions do we have before we kind of wrap this thing up, man? Again, I appreciate you guys for rocking with me. Make sure you hit the like button. It helps our content get out to a wider audience, and we greatly appreciate the support. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We got Arizona's in the building. What's going on, Regina? What's happening? She said, I'm late. You right on time, fam. Right on time. So what questions do you guys have? Let's go through the chat real quick. I will share the link. If you guys want to cam up, I want to start doing more of these. I want to start making these live streams more interactive so you guys can turn your cameras on, make sure you got good lighting, and we will allow you guys. I'm going to put the link in the chat for anyone who would like to join the live stream. I'll put the link in the chat. All right. So there we have it. Why is it not? All right, there we go. So if you guys would like to join live, you want to cam up, All right. Apologies on that. For whatever reason, I lost connection. So yeah, let's do some Q&A, guys. Vanessa Durham says, blessings to go, always dropping gems. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Let's go through a few questions here. TD says, I got the A to B fuel card and they sent me an email saying the report to experience. Yeah, I heard a lot of people saying that now. That's great news because I know for a while a lot of people complained about A to B not reporting. So that's great news. We'll just have to wait and see how it reports, if it's reliable. Who really knows, man? CMJRE says, how long can it take to get negative info off credit report? It could take up to a year. It just depends on what's reporting, how it's reporting. It really just depends. I can't really put a number on it, but I would just say expect, if you're working with a credit repair company, if you're doing credit repair, if you're in credit repair or you're doing it yourself, just budget for 12 months of disputes. All right. Let's see. So we got, I want to say, we got somebody, determined pressure. I'm sorry. Did I say that right?
Yes.
Hey, how's it going? How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good.
Okay. Well, I appreciate you tapping in. If you want to kind of just let us know your name, the name of your business, what type of industry, what type of business you own, and let us know what your question is, and we'll try to help you out.
Well, I hopped on a little late. I'm pretty sure as you could hear, I was trying to figure out what I was going to be snacking on in a second. Long story short, my name is Linnea Benjamin. I own Determined Pressures. I'm in the pressure washing industry. Um, Credit questions, basically just trying to figure out what I need to do first. I'm building my capital from the ground up, of course, while
Gotcha.
scaling back my hours at my corporate job. So I'm just kind of like trying to find that happy medium. Usually my cash clients is what I use, like if I'm running short because of hours or fluctuation in bills, light, water, things like that. That cash is basically not necessarily filtered through the business. I accept payment through the business, but then obviously I apply the cash accordingly.
Right. Gotcha. So if I understand your question, you're looking for ways to kind of keep your cash and start to use funding to fund some of your operation.
Yes.
Okay. Now let me ask you this: have you looked at your personal and business profiles in the last 60 days?
You said, have I
Yeah.
made or used?
Like, have you looked at your personal credit and business credit profiles just to see if anything's reporting on either, like if there's any negative items that we talked about on your personal credit? Because I'll just put it like this: I would say if you're in the 680 to 700 range, even if you have maybe one old collection from a year or whatever, I'm not assuming you have any negative items. I'm just saying the personal credit is going to determine how much business funding you can get, right? So what I suggest doing is, and I don't know what state you're located in, but typically
Florida.
you say you're in Brooklyn,
Florida.
Florida. Okay, great. Florida is excellent for business funding banks. So what I would do is I would go to a bank like Truist or PNC, TD. They're all relationship-based banks, right? I will open up a business checking account or a business savings, right? And what I would do is I would go to google.com and I would type in top SBA lenders list Florida. Now, we also have the list for Florida. I believe it's in our free Facebook group. I'll put a link in the description. But what you want to start doing is having conversations with banks in your local area, right? So you want to start taking that list, maybe call up 5, 6 banks a week and just say, hey, I have a pressure washing company. Right now, we're kind of all cash. We're looking for ways to get funding. And you'll start to see that banks have, business lines of credit that you may be able to apply for without showing tax returns, bank statements, or they may have 0% interest business credit cards that you can use the funding for, let's say, 12 months at 0% interest. So you just got to really get out there and pound the pavement a little bit, find those banks that offer those types of funding, those 0% interest business credit cards, and then just apply, like we said tonight. Now, one thing to also note, I know you said you still have a corporate 9 to 5.
Yes.
Okay. Now you could definitely you could run it up on a personal side too. So you could maybe you open up a personal with, let's say, a Truist, BB&T, and a business, right? So now you have a solid established relationship with that bank that you can, get equipment funding or get a business line of credit. It kind of works in a cycle, right? You could utilize it with one bank, you can utilize it with 3 different banks. There's really no limit, but I would just say, focus on finding banks that are small business friendly, so that you can more easily get access to the funding. Because a lot of it's going to be based on the personal credit. You really got to just talk to the bankers, figure out which ones work for your situation, and then B, just make sure your personal credit is structured properly.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thank you.
absolutely. Did you have any other questions about anything?
Um, Actually, I'm in the middle, so I have all my licenses and things like that. I'm working on getting on the Google My Business.
Okay.
So the closest thing I came to that, instead of using my mailing address
Yeah.
or um, the home address that I'm using right now, I was thinking about going through the UPS in order to
Yeah.
use that as my solid business address. But I also had a family member is one of me basically try to find either some land or a house to see if I can utilize that as well as far as spacing so that I don't have to worry about like storage and things like that.
Yeah.
Um, but that's basically in my mind for the big pullout. Basically the big mental shift of leaving corporate America, which at this point I'm not really working that many hours, so to speak,
Gotcha.
but the hourly rate of pay is pretty doable right now. But being in the transition, I'm basically to the point where I have people who might be a part of a property, management company, and they're like, okay, well, we want to use your business. How do we know you're going to be available?
Gotcha.
Hence the Google My Business address, which I do know because, pressure washing does have low overhead, which is not horrible. It's just when it comes to building that business profile and that credit, I need to make sure that I have a for sure business address. So, in saying that, let's just say in 6 to 8 months, if I were to physically relocate and my mailbox ends up being an hour away and I don't want to make that drive, would I have to wait a year before transferring? Because I do know with building the business credit, it's not wise to consistently or constantly change your business address. So
Yeah.
seeing as though I just did my annual review with the Sundays here in Florida,
Hmm.
um, I just put the at home address that I'm using for my business address on there. Should I wait before I change that address because it's not going to cost any money? Um, or should I go ahead and change it when I get my mailbox or just use it as a mailing address for them?
Yeah, so I would say right now, if you're using a home address, it's fine. Now the only drawback to that is when you do the listings, you're putting, your information out to the public. But as far as for funding purposes, as far as like getting access to funding, I have not seen where banks are, too much tripping about you having a home address on your Secretary of State, Dun and Brad, all of that good stuff. So it's just a matter of if you're comfortable with having your personal address or your home address on Google or in the search engines, Yahoo, Bing, Twitter. I mean Twitter. Sorry, thinking about Elon. So you just kind of gotta weigh it out. Now, one thing I did want to say in regards to the PO boxes, and we actually have a video on the channel. If you go back and watch the how to set up a virtual address, it was a live stream we did a couple months back. I pretty much break down the process of picking a virtual address. because they're not all equal. So in regards to like a UPS store, a mail drop, anything like a anytime mail location, I believe is one. You just want to make sure that it's not a location where it's red flagged as like a mail drop. So typically, what I recommend is two companies, and I'll put a link in the description as well. I recommend Opus Virtual Offices, OPUS. I think it's opusvo.com. Opus Virtual Offices or Regis. Now, if you do go with Regis, there's one specific brand of Regis I like. It's the Spaces Works brand. And the reason why I like the Spaces Works is because it's more of a shared office space. That's ideally the way you want to go. More of a shared office space somewhere where maybe once or twice a month, if you just want to go in there with your laptop, plug in, and do some work. I know you pretty much pressure washer, so you're probably out in the field. You're not necessarily doing a lot of laptop work per se, but it just depends on where you at now. I would say if you can save that cost, because I know you say you were still working a 9 to 5. If you could save the cost of a virtual address, I would just stick with the home address and just add a suite number. So suite 100, suite 200, suite A, suite B, something like that.
Okay, I like that. That's the answer I've basically been getting the runaround about, and I
Yeah,
knew about like the mailbox A, the mailbox B, things like
yeah.
that. Like where I physically live, we have apartments, and usually I'll put unit on there.
Okay.
Um, but when I did the annual review, because of where I am housing my equipment and the mix up with the owner here, because he's not, you know, I've lived here for years. And I asked him, I was like, hey, is there any way that you can roll all of the rent that I paid, since you purchased this building from the other owner, since I've been living here, started from 3 years ago of purchase, and report those payments that I have been making on time to the credit bureaus. I haven't gotten a response back.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. It's tough. I mean, you have some options to report the back rent yourself. I believe I'm not familiar. There's one that you can report without having a landlord to be involved, and I'll make sure I do some due diligence and see which one it was. I forgot. I was doing some research and found it. But yeah, typically with most of the rent reporter, they're going to contact the landlord to get the history um, that you can add to your personal profile. So yeah, if you could maybe hound them a little bit, bug them a little bit, see if you could maybe help you out there. That would be awesome because that would give you another age trade line. You said 3 years you've been renting.
well, I've been renting since what, 2015. I moved here, and then
Okay,
the property went up for sale 2018, I believe,
gotcha.
maybe 2019. So, I'm pretty much a homebody. I'm comfortable with the uncomfortable at this point, and I know that that is essential to, wherever I end up going. I know that physically I want to ensure that, ultimately there is some sort of trace, because if not financially, it's not going to make sense when people look at my,
Right.
my income over the past 3 or 4 years, pre-COVID, um, up to last year. I obviously did something wrong on my taxes because I had to pay a tax. Just being a year and a half, almost smooth 2 years into the industry, um, I'm still trying to kind of like tweak my numbers a little bit so that eventually, however, going into the third year strong, I have everything lined up on a personal side, because I do not have, the best credit. And due to unforeseen circumstances, I did have to get a car where I'm making payments, an SUV. So that's what I use for my business currently. But I'm at the point where, as far as advertising, because the city that I live in is going to be under construction over the next, it's already pretty much started. So they're going to be building up in the county that I live in. I would like to, for the marketing side of things, go ahead and put some logo or emblem on my vehicle. But I'm also kind of torn as far as, wanting to get a truck, but financially can't really afford it, but I could if I really try a little bit to tweak some numbers.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of like at an impasse as far as the type of help that I'm really looking for,
Yeah.
to finish building that profile and adjusting my business plan and proposals as far as what I'm going to be presenting on paper.
Yeah, nah, it definitely makes sense. I mean, like I said, you're doing the right things. You just gotta kind of. I would personally say, your marketing, your dollar is probably going to take your business a lot further. 'Cause if you can, drive more leads, more customers in, that directly impacts your revenue, right? Your top line number. And if you can keep your expenses flatline for, let's just say, the next quarter, then yeah, you're in a good position. The personal credit, like I said, there's some things you can do on the business credit side to, maybe build out the profile and get some funding that's not attached to, you have the Divvy credit builder, to Apago, some of the fintechs. But I would just say for you right now, I would say just focus on, figuring out how to, start building relationships with those banks in your local area, because Florida is a great, great state for small business friendly banks.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely, man. Well, I appreciate you tapping in, man. And like I say, make sure you, if you have not yet, I would say check out the masterclass. It's a free event. We do charge for VIP, but to come to the masterclass is absolutely free. So definitely check it out.
When
Man.
is that?
It's this Saturday, April 30th, but we do them monthly, so we'll have another one.
Okay.
This weekend.
Okay, and then how do I get the invitation? Do I need to put my email in the
Yeah, I'll
chat?
put it up on the screen. If you text the letters EZ to 980-825-4360, it'll send you a link to register for the free event.
Okay, hold on one second. Let me do that now.
All right. Let's see. Oh man, y'all was going
980.
Yep, 980-825-4360. And it'll send you a link right to your phone. Uh-oh.
Beautiful.
All right. Well, definitely, man. Hope to see you at the next class, and we can chop it up some more.
All right. And what is your name?
Me, I'm Audrey. Audrey.
Heard that?
Yep, that's me. Hold on one second. Maybe my computer freezing. You there with me?
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, it's a little choppy, but I can.
Okay. Well, I appreciate you again for tapping in, man, and definitely look forward to seeing you on Saturday.
All right. Thank you very much. What time zone are you in?
I'm in the Eastern, so I'm right here in North Carolina. I'm in Carolina. I'm right up the road.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. I'm traveling to Colorado in the morning. I pull out at 5, so I just want to kind of like calculate the time difference.
Yeah, it'll be if you just register for it. We're sending out the email tomorrow for everybody to join the Facebook group. If you hop in the Facebook group, you'll still have access to the replay, so you can go back and watch it. It'll be available.
Beautiful.
Yep.
Okay.
All right, man.
Thank you very much.
Very welcome. Yeah, man. The home address is still in effect as of right now, family. So don't feel too obligated to get a virtual address if it's going to put a strain on your expenses. Virtual addresses are a luxury, I would say, for beginning, startup businesses. Home address is fine for funding purposes. Now you just have to weigh out, listing your company publicly. But yeah, I definitely don't foresee any changes with using a home address for funding. I think we answered that. My guy Pedro said, can you go over the 10 primary accounts again? So I need 10 personal credit card accounts open. It's not just credit cards, Pedro. So you want to have a mix. So you want, a minimum of 5 revolving accounts, maybe 1 to 2 installment accounts, and then maybe 1 to 2 authorized users. Tier 1 authorized users is what I recommend: the Chase, Citi, Wells Fargo, Chase, Citi, Bank of America, Wells Fargo. Those are going to be your most quality authorized users with $5,000 to $10,000 limits. So hopefully that answers your question. Regina said, question, I have noticed a late payment on my report from 2016. Can I have it removed? No other late payment. This is bothering me. I will leave it alone, Regina. It's only is the biggest impact that you'll see from late payments is the first 24 months. After those first 24 months, you really don't have anything to necessarily worry about. You get the bulk of your points back. Just got 80 paydex. What do you recommend next? Next, I would start reaching out to local banks and credit unions in your area, disability, and start having conversations, figure out what programs they offer for your business. Regina said, I really have no other negative items on our report. I mean, it happens, fam. Don't even trip. Honestly, Regina, don't even trip. If you had a late payment in 2016, it's 2022. It's not going to impact your score, and it'll probably fall off in another year or two anyway. Is it an open account, Regina, or is it a closed account? That would help me answer the question better. Big Daddy B, how much money does it cost to start a relationship? We're talking personal checking, personal saving before we ask for funding. I don't really have a dollar amount, but I will say, if let's just say you had a 740, 760 FICO, and you had an average monthly balance of, let's just say, 5K in checking and savings across both, let's say 2,500, you shouldn't have any problem getting funding at that point. 5K is 1 to 5K, 1,000 to 5,000. Lavonda says, how do we handle getting multiple products from Navy Federal each time they do a grad hard pull anywhere around this? Yes, because Navy does pull TransUnion for credit cards, loans, all of their personal, but they pull Experian for business, Lavonda. And so I know you had reached out to me about, working with us on the accelerator program, so we can kind of deep dive into that more specifically. But that would be the hack. Navy pulls TransUnion for personal, they pull Experian for business. So that's how you can, double dip on the business and personal side with Navy. Jeremiah said, do you have a Navy Federal plug? I don't have a Navy Federal plug. And then he said, I went to PNC in Georgia and was told if you have a business account for 3 months, they will do a business loan. Yeah, PNC is a relationship bank. They want you to bank with them for a few months before they really extend you any real funding. You can get a business credit card really pretty much when you open a business checking account. I like PNC, but they are a little bit tougher. You do have to play ball with PNC. So that's good. First time on the live chat. Welcome. We appreciate you. Welcome. Rich companies report to Equifax. Somebody else asked me that the other day. Summa Office Supplies is Equifax. Nav, of course, is Equifax. Business T-shirt Club is Equifax, and the gas cards. So that's 4, Moco lady, you could probably start with. Summa Office Supplies, Nav, gas cards, and Business T-shirt Club. Yep. All right, let's see. Virtual address, the best. I'm not sure what you mean there, She. All right, we'll take a few more questions. I have 2 Nav accounts. Which gas card can I get with no PG? I like BP MasterCard, Jeremiah. I like BP MasterCard first, and then Fuelman second. Fuelman and BP are both in the same family. Regina says a store credit card. What store? Is it Belt? I'm curious now. You said it's a store credit card. I'm gonna get all in your business now, Regina. About to get all in your business. But yeah, I wouldn't close it. Regina. If you had it since 2016 and that was the last time you was late, there's no need to mess with it. She said, I finally broke. Oh yeah, you over 800? Man, come on, man. Cut it out, Regina. You just showing out. You're showing out. You're showing out on us, man. She said I broke 819. So salute to you, man, for sure. But yeah, I wouldn't worry too much about that one. Law says my aunt has a late payment. She has been trying to get off a report for a Target credit card. What do you recommend? This was her first late payment, and they dropped her credit limit from 9,000 to 200. Yeah, that's TD Bank. I would say get with us. We can help you with credit repair, but just with late payments, it's a little tricky. So I would have to see how it's reported to the bureaus. There's some things you can do to get rid of late payments. I can't really get into them on the live stream, law. But yeah, we can help you. I'll put it like that. BRK said, my NAV account started reporting. I'm going, it's slow but steady. Yeah, slow and steady is the way to do it, bro. Don't rush it. Don't try to do more extra. Remember, you got to spend money with these bureaus, these creditors too. So yeah, I mean, if you gotta, take it 90 days at a time, man, we all gonna get there eventually. We're not in a hurry. We just want to, like Rick Ross said, we moving correctly. We ain't in a hurry. We just moving correctly. Jeremiah said, Fuel Man asked me for a PG or partial deposit. I would do the deposit, Jeremiah. I would do the deposit, and here's why. And for those of you watching this, here's why I personally say to give a deposit. Because the gas cards, remember, 80 payday strategy, 2 NAV accounts, 2 gas cards. The gas cards report to all 3 business bureaus, WEX, BP MasterCard, Pilot Flying J, Shell, that's WEX, 7-Eleven, yada, yada, yada. They report to all 3 business bureaus, Jeremiah. So remember that. So if you have to put up that $500 deposit, they typically give you 3 times that limit. So I will keep that in mind. And more specifically with the BP MasterCard, remember, it can become an unsecured BP MasterCard. So remember, it can become a full-fledged MasterCard, right? Because it has the MasterCard logo, meaning you can use it for working capital, you can use it for gas, you can use it for paying employees, whatever the case may be. So yeah. Let's see. Regina said no more store cards. Yeah. Kohl's, yeah, I would stay away from Kohl's. Is Kohl's even still open? I don't even think Kohl's is around, at least not in Charlotte, Virginia. I don't think we got any Kohl's left in Charlotte. I could be wrong. Dwayne Rivers said, can I get business credit as sole proprietorship? No, I would get an LLC EIN. You can get an EIN number as a sole proprietor and get maybe like a Chase credit card or American Express with a DBA, but I don't recommend it, Dwayne. I don't recommend it. It's not a good business practice. I would just get the LLC. It's like $100, $150 depending on your state. Don't file in California though. California is expensive, and New York. New York and California. Pray for y'all trying to open up LLCs. Santina, what's going on? What's going on, fam? She said, when doing your business profile on NAV, how do you list a revenue when your company is new? You just make up an amount. You can project the revenue. You can say based on, let's say $10,000 a month, we'll do $120,000 in sales. Some banks will let you literally project the revenue. It just depends on the bank, depends on what type of funding you're going for, Santina. So I would say just project, 10K, something reasonable for a new business. Don't say you made $3 million and it's your first year in business. I mean, not saying that you can't do that, but I wouldn't do projected income, crazy numbers. 5,000-10,000, make it believable. Got 80 paydex for personal in the mid 6s. What would you recommend? I would recommend definitely tapping in with our one-on-one accelerated disability, or coming to the one-day masterclass. We do have, more intimate one-on-one accelerated program available, where we can kind of walk you through everything over the next 8 to 12 weeks. And we can kind of, see where you are, help you, navigate through getting funded. So that would be my recommendation. Ace One said, do you offer a way to transfer personal credit to business credit so I can prove debt to income? Yeah, you can do 0% interest business credit cards. So like BB&T, PNC, Chase, most of your big banks, U.S. Bank, they all have some type of 0% interest credit card for 12 to 18 months. American Express, and they do offer some where you can do a balance transfer. Now, American Express used to do 0% balance transfers. They don't anymore. You still get 0% interest on purchases. Yeah, so that's what I would personally do, Ace One. And even if you have to get a credit partner to maybe get a couple 0% interest business credit cards so you can do the balance transfer, that may be an option. But that's what I would do. Yeah, so they would do 3 times the deposit. Yeah, so if you put up 500, they'll do a limit of 1,500. Say yes in Georgia. All right, cool, man. Definitely Georgia. Shout out to Georgia for sure. Georgia's in the building. Okay, you said yes, we do on Independence and South Boulevard. Okay. Is that okay? South Boulevard. Yeah, I guess I'm not on that side much, but I didn't know it was one on Independence either. It must be down by Matthews. Must be down by Matthews. Gotta be. Shout out to Matthews, man. Butler High School, class of 2001. Hey, y'all know it's crazy. Y'all want to hear something crazy? I've been doing this YouTube for almost a year and some change, right? And nobody really knew. I mean, not that I'm a celebrity or anything, but nobody really called me out or said, hey, you know, I see your channel. I've seen you on YouTube. But one of the videos I posted, how about my old high school bus driver shouted me out, yo? That's crazy. That's crazy. My old high school bus driver was like, did you go to Butler High School? In the comments. So I was thrown back by that, man. I was like, dang, that's crazy. It's crazy. But hey, it just goes to show, man, when you out here, you in these YouTube streets, man, at some point you're gonna bump into somebody that knew you and grew you. Said yep. Okay, said yep in Matthews. Yeah. It gotta be the one in Matthews then. Okay. Yeah, I'm never on that side of town. I'm usually north side. Gina said that's awesome. Yeah, shout out to Regina, man. You working, man. 819. So yeah, family, that's pretty much it. Again, just to recap, you know, make sure that you're focusing on your profile and not your scores. Make sure you have one name, one address, one phone number, one employer. And also make sure that you establish a relationship before you ask for money. Okay? Before you ask for any funding, it's always best to establish a relationship. Those 3 things can take you a long way with funding. So I just wanted to come on live, guys. I appreciate you all for continuing to ride with me. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Make sure you hit the like button. It helps our content get out to a wider audience. Also, if you plan to attend this Saturday's one-day Business Funding Made Easy Masterclass, we do have room available. We still have spots available. All you have to do is text the letters to 980-825-4360. Again, that's 980-825-4360 to get registered for this Saturday's one-day Business Funding Made Easy Masterclass. It is a free event, but we do have a VIP option that is $147. Yeah, absolutely. Tell them, family. Don't forget to like the video. All right, and yeah, so also Regina too, for you, Santina, all you guys, all my North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia people, we are going to be bringing back the meetups. We are going to be bringing back the meetups at some point, probably May, June. So be on the lookout for that. Jeremiah said, can I get a consultation? So we don't do one-on-one consultations, Jeremiah, but what we do offer is a one-on-one accelerator program. So it's an 8-week program. It's designed for 8 weeks, but we're rolling it out with a 12-week time slot. So if you would like more information, just shoot me an email and we can hop on a call and we can kind of see if it's a good fit for you, see where you are currently, and see if it's a good fit for you. So that's what my recommendation would be, Jeremiah, is just shoot us an email, info@cbcanetwork.com, and we can hop on a call and discuss working together, brother. So yeah, info@cbcanetwork.com. All right. Appreciate y'all, family. I'm going to get out of here. Got to go get up early, hit the grind. We got some hires to make. But yeah, man, I wish you guys much success in your life and in your business. If you got value from this, make sure you hit a like for the YouTube algorithm, and let's get it popping. All right, family. We'll see you guys next week on the next live stream. Talk soon.